coaching staff. We got the Super Bowl this Sunday, everybody. The Pro Bowl games. Jalen Hurts been elevated to the Pro Bowl, his third Pro Bowl. All right, those are the updates on for you guys, and we'll keep an eye on everything that's
Shedeur Sanders in his first Pro Bowl.
You got Jalen Hurts versus Shedeur Sanders in the Pro Bowl this year. Good stuff there. Let's go to Jeff Kerr, Johnny Mac. Jeff Kerr joins us here on Birds 365 this morning. You can follow him at Jeff Kerr, PHL. Jeff, good morning to you, my friend. How you doing on this Monday morning?
Engagement farming is at an all-time high, Xander Kraus.
What does that mean, Jeff?
Oh, no one wants the Eagles' offensive coordinator job. Jalen Hurts is the problem. You name it.
Are you telling me that a version of list season is emerging quickly here this offseason, Jeff?
List season's coming, isn't it, John?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That was my favorite take from a certain – well, it was Elliott. I love Elliott, so I could say Elliott. But that was my favorite take ever from Elliott was – he does a rooting guide, like who you should be rooting for. And he said you should be rooting for the Rams over the Seahawks because the offseason lifts, if the Seahawks win, will have Sam Darnold over Jalen Hurts. I'm like, who gives a fuck? Offseason list. Who cares? Stafford's already ahead. So you root for the Rams to keep Sam Darnold below Jalen Hurts on the offseason list. Yeah. That's where we are.
If Elliott ran the Sixers, they'd be way worse shape than they were because I remember back in 2014, Noah Vonleh was better than Joel Embiid per his opinion.
Come on. let's not pause. We all
Elliott's catching strays. Why is Elliott catching strays?
I just thought that was funny. I thought Ryan Leaf was going to be better than Peyton Manning. So
I love Elliott's Eagles. I do. I think they're engaging. I think they're entertaining, but stay in your lane when it comes to the other sports. You have no idea what you're talking about.
And to my defense and Ryan Leaf, look, Ryan Leaf had more talent. I had no idea he was a mental health disaster. We don't have that information. We don't have that information.
He wasn't a mental health disaster in college.
Yeah. So anyway, but I digress. So I don't criticize anybody. I mean, it's really difficult to pick players. And if you do it long enough, you're going to get guys wrong, period. And more NFL teams should understand that. But since Xander brought up Jalen Hurts' well-deserved playoff Pro Bowl games berth, Pro Bowl games, what are we doing with this nonsense? I mean, Shedeur really highlights it. Literally, maybe the worst quarterback.
Here, I'm going to put this in perspective for you. I tweeted this the other day. The Browns had a quarterback competition this summer, and John and I got to witness it with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. Two of those quarterbacks made the Pro Bowl.
Wow.
It was probably the worst quarterback competition I've ever seen.
Well, Kenny was hurt. He couldn't participate. Joe was clearly the best. Dylan Gabriel, yeah.
It's really
Shedeur got hurt too.
Jalen making it is what I mean. He's the former. He won the Super Bowl.
No, he's fine, but he's an alternate.
Yeah,
he was the third alternate. Which is fine.
Yeah, but I'm saying a lot of times people get into Pro Bowls on pedigree. Like Hurts it makes sense that Hurts got in, but the Shedeur thing.
It just sucks it devalues it because of the Tyler Huntley's and the Shedeur Sanderses. It's like laugh when these guys make it, and then when someone good makes it, like Jalen, you're just like
I'm of the belief you shouldn't be able to call somebody a Pro Bowl selection if they're an alternate. In other words,
I actually agree with that. I mean, is it 6 Pro Bowl quarterbacks or is it 3 or whatever? You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah, the guys who are named to the Pro Bowl are Pro Bowl selections, and if you get there in alternate, you played in the Pro Bowl games. That's how I would do it. Yeah, you're not a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with that. In fact, I don't know why that's not how it is.
I feel like the only exception to that rule would be the NBA because not too many people are named all-stars anyway. So when you are named an alternate, you're like, okay, you're what, 17, 18? It's not
I'm just talking about because it's been a problem for years in the NFL because nobody wanted to play in the game when they did have the game. And a bunch of guys would just, as you point out, Snoop Huntley, a bunch of guys would just say, oh, yeah, I'm not bothering that. So I've thought this way for years. First of all, and they did, I probably wrote 15 years ago, keep the honor, get rid of the game. I wrote that column. I still remember it. And they have gotten rid of the game. And they have kept the honor. But, yeah, it's got to be – for the honor to mean something, you can't consider alternates to be Pro Bowl players.
Yeah. It's so crazy with how the Pro Bowl has changed, right? I remember I was watching Don McNabb throw bombs to Deshaun Jackson in the Pro Bowl game 15, 16 years ago. And I'm like, this game's terrible. Like, this game's not what it used to be in the 90s. And I'm like, I wonder how long it's going to take for them to get rid of it. I never thought it could get any worse. Then they started picking teams and doing all this stuff. And remember, they had Team Irvin the one year, and they tried to do a draft, and then they brought the AFC, NFC back, but they didn't go to Hawaii. It was just the Pro Bowl's just run its course.
Yeah, well. It's a game. Pro football is a game that doesn't lend itself to an all-star format because you can get hurt. So I mean, that's and you can get hurt walking down the street. So it's not like you can't get hurt playing basketball or baseball. But let's be honest, you're probably going to be right if you're playing in the baseball. You're probably going to be all right if you're playing in the baseball all-star game. You can't say that in football.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think that's the biggest problem. And it's always been the biggest problem with an all-star game format, the NFL. But
I'm still shocked Brian Moorman didn't suffer serious injury after Sean Taylor nailed him in the Pro Bowl game.
There you go. There's a perfect example.
Yeah.
You're out there, and people have gotten hurt in the game as well. It was always silly. But more pressing matters. Vic Fangio, your takes, Jeff. Obviously,
Yeah.
Guy's 67 years old. What did everybody think? He was going to be here for 15 years?
No, I mean, I was shocked if they would have gotten him for 3. And it looks like, based on Jimmy's report, they're at least going to get him for 3. But I'm like you, John, and I think you kind of tweeted the same thing yesterday. You let this guy run until he tells you he's done. And
yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
And then you worry about tomorrow's problems tomorrow. Like, everybody goes, how do you let Christian Parker walk out that building? I'm like, well, because you can let Christian Parker walk out that building.
I mean, I don't like it. I prefer to keep him, but I heard a couple people say, well, you got to keep Christian Parker and say, thanks for the memories, Vic. I'm like,
no,
that's not
Vic as long as possible. Yeah.
I
do understand why some people would say, all right, if Vic is at this stage, do you do anything you can to retain Christian? Now, it's easier said than done because when you get offered a DC job in Dallas, you're not going to say no to that.
He's not.
Yeah.
So I get that. I'm just saying it doesn't, make sense to me why people.
If you have Gordon Ramsay as your personal chef, why would you want to change chefs?
Yeah, right. That's a good point. Point. How much would this fund? How positioned, Jeff, are the Eagles to handle a retire? I mean, he's Vic Fangio. You don't replace him, but how do you view like the contingency? I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
To replace a guy like Vic Fangio.
You
How
might
fragile is the defense? I should say.
Oh yeah, like you might have lucked out this time because, like, say Vic were to retire this week, Jim Schwartz is available. You can realistically.
Well, he's technically under contract.
Yeah, he's under contract, but there are ways you can maneuver, I guess you could say.
Well, yeah, I don't think he wants to be there. By the way, if they get Jim Schwartz back, you're going to hear the Myles Garrett stuff ramp up again right away.
Let's go.
Right away.
Nothing.
Remember
like
when everybody hated?
Talk.
Remember when everybody hated Jim Schwartz because he gave up 33 points?
Picket fence. Yeah, the picket fence. Well, Jim hated their performance in the Super Bowl. Make no mistake about it. He hated the defensive performance.
But he's a really good defense. I actually think he's become even a better defensive coordinator since he left Philly.
Well, he was darn good when he was here. I mean,
he was.
My question is, you're playing a different style. Jim plays a different style of defense, and you've had a lot of success with the Vic Fangio style of defense that so many people play now. But and Jonathan Gannon was the other name mentioned. Now he's with the Packers, but he would play a similar style. It's more the Dave Aranda version, but it's still the same sort of.
What about Clint Hurt? Would you promote him?
Yeah, I would. That's what I do.
Yeah. That'd be the if you're going internally, yeah, because he has
Well,
the
at this
experience.
stage, because of the lateness of it, if he retires from this point forward, or if he retires in July, wherever, I mean, you're kind of screwed from you don't have the pick of the litter, so to speak. So to me, Clint would get, 1 year to prove he can do it. And if not, then you got to go a different direction when you can do a real search with some of the top names. But I think the timing would hurt them now. But I can live with it for Vic. I'll live with it.
Yeah, I'm still kind of surprised Vic didn't retire after last year. I thought he was going to win the Super Bowl and say, all right, that's it. I accomplished what I needed to accomplish in life as a coach. I'm ready to move on.
I thought he might. Yeah. Maybe he regrets that, because he could have went out on top.
Maybe. I mean, if he's coming back next year, then I would say he doesn't regret it, because that's but maybe he does. Maybe. How much do you think it shows maybe that there is dysfunction in the organization? Nothing at all to that, right? I mean, I think it's just an old dude and he wants to hang him up.
I think it's.
I did see that though, getting aggravated. Like, oh man, the Eagles building must really be toxic. I'm like, well, I don't disagree, but I also don't think that's the reason that Vic Fangio wants to retire. I just think he's 68.
Was it toxic at the Super Bowl party? Because he was talking about retiring then, and they just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
No, I don't think it's toxic at all. But if you're the Eagles, you're an important figure in the Eagles front office, especially your Howie Roseman. You got to say to this guy, like, hey, you kind of need a decision here, because teams are hiring coaches, and we just can't be left out in the dark. We have a chance to get a Jonathan Gannon or a Jim Schwartz here. And
oh God, if they got you, I actually don't hate Jonathan Gannon like most do, but can you imagine if they brought him back?
Yeah. Well, again, another fake narrative on Jonathan Gannon. I'm telling you, I can't deal with this stuff when it comes to that.
The organization hates him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, they did have like the number 2 overall defense that year, didn't they?
Yeah, number 2 with 70 sacks.
Yeah,
they were like 6 or 7 yards from being number 1. It was really
I'm not gonna lie. That's one I don't really get. I mean, I get that the Super Bowl ended the way it did, and it felt like
that's all it was about.
It's how the Super Bowl ended and how he took a job. It wasn't
just that. Don't you remember the couple weeks prior when everybody's like going crazy on Jonathan Gannon, and then the thing happened in the parking lot where he's like, "Let's gut them mother effers" or whatever he said.
Yeah. Well, they hate all coordinators. I say it all the time. By the way, I hope, God, every day I got to learn which Kubiak is which Kubiak.
Clay, right? Clay got hired.
Clay got hired.
No, Clint got hired.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I thought the Rams guy got hired too. No.
Yeah, Mike LaFleur got.
Yeah, Mike LaFleur.
LaFleur.
So a son of a father got hired, and a brother of a brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, so who's Clay Kubiak is where then? He's with the Rams. Okay,
Clay's the San Francisco.
All right,
I get them mixed up all the time. So
Clint
is going to be the next Raiders coach. I just hope to God he can concentrate for the Super Bowl, Jeff. I don't know how he could do it.
I don't know how he could do it either. I don't know how Jonathan Gannon did. Well, I guess he didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, that was the big narrative.
That's maybe one of the reasons the fans hate him.
That was the big narrative.
Because he told Breland Moore after the NFC Championship game on Fox he was staying.
Yeah.
And then the Cardinals stuff comes up. I'm like, uh-oh. Like Cardinals don't have a coach yet.
Was a little snaky looking, John. Like after the game.
Yeah, but I
on the field, he's like,
there's been not only reporting from me, there's been tremendous reporting from other people. You bring up that pre-conversation. Monty Ossenfort called him to congratulate him for winning the game. That's what kicked it out. Monty Ossenfort got the job late. He didn't know when he was talking to Breland Moore.
Exactly.
And he said, Monty Ossenfort, who's a friend of his, said, would you be interested? Congratulations. Would you be interested? And he said, like everybody else, fuck yeah.
Hey, this is what I love about this fan base, right? You know, the Eagles did the same thing back in 1994. The 49ers defensive coordinator was Ray Rhodes, and the Eagles were literally talking to him during Super Bowl week.
It
They
happens
hired him
every
during Super
fucking
Bowl
year.
They just didn't formally hire him until after the Super Bowl, but he was
But
hired.
nobody cares. Nobody cares if it's Clay Kubiak getting a head coaching job before the Super Bowl. He's not technically. They can't announce it.
Yeah.
But trust me,
They're
Clay
working
Kubiak.
they are working towards a deal to make Clay Kubiak their head coach.
Trust me, Clint. Sorry, I'm mixing it up again.
Yeah.
Trust me, he will do his job for the Super Bowl. These guys don't want to lose the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Super Bowl's gonna be pretty good.
I really think I think so many Eagles fans have this fake narrative of Andy Reid, because heaven forbid he did not win a Super Bowl here. They couldn't stomach the fact that Andy Reid ran laps around Jonathan Gannon in that Super Bowl. They can't take that Andy Reid is actually a really good coach.
Now you're going, I mean, did Gannon tell those guys to blow fucking coverages?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what nobody ever blames the players. Nobody.
No one ever blames Aaron Sipaceder.
Well, yeah, I do.
I do too.
He was hard in that game. Special teams is maybe one of the biggest.
Michael Clay's unit had a way worse Super Bowl than Jonathan Gannon.
Well, I blame Howie Roseman for that one, because they were letting Brett Kern. Remember, Aaron Cepas got hurt, and they felt the loyalty to Aaron Cepas. He was working his way back, really working hard to get back, and he got cleared for the Super Bowl. And instead of letting Brett Kern punt, he said, we got to let Aaron Cepas punt. And it fucked him. And let's be honest. Brett Kern wasn't great at that. He was like 100 years old, but I guarantee he would have kicked the ball the right way. I guarantee you. Yeah.
That's a game I just keep watching myself, and just all the blown opportunities they had. Like, I mean, that 2022 team could have really been something special.
Like on the occasional, and it happens, very rare. And this is why Vic is big. It happens. It's astonishing how few blown coverages the Eagles have for all the coverages they call or Vic calls. But when they do blow a coverage, it ain't Vic's fault.
Well, John,
it's Quignon's fault.
This would be my question and Jeff, you can chime in here too, but really for John, because of a point that he's consistently made on the show. You always say, John, and I agree with you, that players are first. And that when you look at offensive coordinators, you remind people of that consistently.
Coaches say that. Coaches say that.
No, and I agree with you. I'm not saying, but then you have a guy like Vic, right, who's as established and respected as he is. And then it's like, all right, if he hangs him up, how much does that hurt the defense? Because in theory, yes, players first. But Vic also, for the job of a coach, does it as good, if not better, than everybody else, of his peers. How much does that loss matter? I think players are still first, but you have a coach to Vic Fangio's pedigree. How much does that loss actually mean as compared to maybe losing Kevin Patullo on offense, or in the case of success, losing Kellen Moore on offense?
Well, it's frustrating me that people say I don't think coaching matters, because it does matter. It just doesn't matter as much as fans think it does. But yes, obviously, Vic Fangio is better than most defensive coordinators. I would say all defensive coordinators. Yeah. Whereas Kevin Patullo was a first-year play caller learning on the job. So there's a big difference from the standpoint of that. And you'll see there's going to be a big difference whenever Vic does retire and whoever takes over for him. They're up against a high standard. But, Vic's been coaching for 40 years. He's got one Super Bowl. It's always great. People have been, for about 15 years, he's been the guy. He's the Kyle Shanahan of defense. He's the Sean McVay of defense that everybody copies. I tried to tell everybody this before the Super Bowl, and they were raving about Spagnuolo. I said, well, Spagnuolo is great, but who does everybody in the industry copy? That's Vic Fangio. That tells you more than anything else.
Steve Spagnuolo even said, like, well, if I go Hall of Fame, you better reserve a spot for Vic.
Yeah, I mean, and he's won one Super Bowl. That's it. He's had one number one defense. Yeah. That's it. Because ultimately players matter more. And one of the things, Sean Mannion, is going to be better than they were last year as a 2-year. I have much confidence in that. And the reason I have much confidence in that is because the players played so poorly last year as a group. All had down years almost to a man. I think they will rebound. I think they will be focused. I think they understand how poorly they played at times. And I think they will be better. And therefore, Sean Mannion will be perceived to be better, at least early, because the offense will look better simply because the players will rebound from poor seasons.
And another thing, jobs are probably going to be on the line if they have another bad year again, because you can't pay all these guys and have 2 underperforming years.
100%.
Like, fool me once, okay. Fool me twice, I don't know.
I agree with you, Jeff. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I agree with your layout as well. It is interesting with with like, you think the offense can be better. I agree. I mean, there are a bunch of good players, and none of them played well. Just like you said, they'd come back to earth after Saquon Barkley runs for 2,500. How much does the defense potentially drop, or will it not at all?
Well, I think the defense, if Vic goes, because they played at such a high level, I think it will drop.
Me too.
If Vic goes, but
if you have Vic next year, I mean, why not expect the top 5 unit again?
Oh yeah, Vic's here. Yeah. And they're young and ascending and getting better. There's a lot of uncertainty on offense as well. We don't know if Lane's going to be back. We don't know if AJ's going to be back.
Goddard's another big
Dallas. So there's a lot more uncertainty from a personnel standpoint.
John, do you think the Vic news that Jimmy reported was Adam Schefter's big bombshell team thing?
I think Adam was. Well, I listened to that and it was a throwaway from Adam.
It was a throwaway, yeah.
Well, it does look like now that this is what he was talking about.
Well,
I don't know if he was or not, but that's what it looks like. I saw somebody already commented earlier. See, Schefter was right, John.
Well, yeah. Well, I talked to somebody at 97.5. They don't think so, because they know that Adam doesn't give people a lot on those purposefully on those calls. So yeah. Anyway, but believe what you want to believe.
Yeah,
I think it was a throwaway. I think the more interesting Schefter comment came on ESPN because that's where he gives his information, because that's who pays him the most. He gets paid to do those spots as well. But when he talked about maybe Nick Sirianni will call the plays, which concerned me.
Yeah, I didn't want that.
Because not because Nick can't do it, because he has steadfastly said over the years that he doesn't want to do it. So that concerned me from the standpoint of.
But wasn't that before they hired Mannion though? When he said that,
he said that he said that multiple times over the years since he gave it up to Shane. Like he doesn't want it back.
I meant when Schefter said that. Didn't he say that the same day? Yeah.
It was before they hired Mannion. That was, I think, the more, because I mean, let's be honest, that's going to be a narrative all season. If Sean Mannion starts to struggle, people are going to start talking. Is Nick calling the plays? Is Nick taking over the plays? Or is Josh Grizzard? I think they set it up. I think that's why Josh Grizzard is here. So Nick doesn't have to call plays. I think he set it up that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And Josh is an excellent third down schemer and play caller. He was that first year in Tampa when he was passing game coordinator. And
yeah, I get but by the way, I saw, and I don't want to out the person, but I saw this. This is what you're going to see under Sean Mannion type. And I get, we're in the world of content creation and blah. And I get people have to create content. The best story Nick Sirianni has ever told me, literally number one, and I say it all the time on this show, is when he was explaining his first interview with his buddy Larry Karras, his mentor. People hate bringing up that name because Nick will talk for 5 hours about Larry Karras if you let him. And I've already told the story, but I want to tell it again to emphasize it. Larry Karras, young coach, he said, "All right, let me hear it. What kind of offense are you going to run?" And Nick is a young coach, like everybody in that situation, probably he's going, "All right, I'm going to wow this guy with what I think he wants to hear," basically. And he starts going into what he wants to do, and he stopped him right away. And he said, "You don't even know who your players are. Why are you talking about? Why are you talking about why you're going to run?" Trying to teach, and he did. He taught him that lesson. And it's like, man, you got a bad coach if you're not going to build around the players you have. You got a bad coach.
We do that.
Coaches though who will like literally trade a player if it doesn't work in the
That's
system.
fine.
Yeah,
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with having a fundamental philosophy. Like
Right.
Vic has a fundamental philosophy, and you work to acquire the players that best fit that fundamental philosophy.
right.
But until you get there, you got to take advantage of what you have.
We do that. We do that at the high school level. Like just even at high school basketball, we're looking at our players. We're like, okay, this is what worked last year. This is what didn't. Let's try to make a different offense or a set defense that we're trying to maximize the talent level we have. And
because you got a kid who does something well and maybe a kid who doesn't do something. I mean, that's just coaching 101.
Yeah, and that's why I get upset because a lot of these people, like, I kind of want to call them out and said, look, I'm not saying I'm a professional coach or anything, but you ever coached before? And I'm not talking about like 5-year-olds. I'm talking about like at a different level. Like, that's not exactly what they're going to run. They might run a variation of that, but that's not what they're going to run.
And Nick's a perfect example because when he was in Indy, they had to build 3 different offenses. And when he came here, he started with his Indy offense with Phillip Rivers and, said this isn't working and scaled it back.
Because Jalen Hurts ain't Phillip Rivers.
I mean, it's just that's one of I don't get why so many and one of the cliches. There's a million cliches in football, obviously, but when it comes to coaching, number one is if you're hiring a scheme, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody says it, and they say it for a reason.
Jeff, any thought on if you tell me I'm wrong, it's fine. Any thought on the potential of like this offense looking like it's like an offense by committee? I brought it up to Johnny. Disagreed. Well, I don't want to speak for Johnny. Disagreed with me, but I do look at a pressurized situation in Philly where expectations are high. Pressure is even more increased after what happened last year with Kevin Patullo and the way the offense never quite got it going. And now you have a 33-year-old guy who's calling the offense, who's never called plays, who has very limited coaching experience, with a rabid fan base, a rabid owner, maybe more than the fan base, who will fire a guy after 1 year, all right, and a guy who's a passing game coordinator who's called plays before, a tight ends coach who's called plays before, a head coach who's an offensive-minded head coach. I look at that and I say, boy, this, if this gets ugly, it could unravel quick. How do you see the setup of the offensive staff and any problem with it as it stands so far?
It's a very young offensive staff, too. Like, you brought up Mannion's age. Josh Grisard's what, 35, John?
35. Yeah.
He's got the 1 year play calling. I don't know. Does that matter?
But he was also a very young, inexperienced play caller, too. And you saw what Tampa Bay did. Jason Light said, see ya. We collapsed.
Which we do agree wasn't really on Josh Grisard. I mean, they had
a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries.
Yeah. Especially at the wide receiver position.
And that's why I said Philadelphia's not unique. In fact, they're ordinary when it comes to scapegoating. Everybody does it.
Yeah. There were 21 offensive coordinator positions available this year.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only guys
– that is insane.
Yeah. It's who put it up? Mike Clay put it up. He's got his spreadsheet of all the offensive play callers, offensive coordinators. So you know, the only ones who have any continuity are the guys who are head coaches that call plays. So, but there's so few of them. Like Joe Brady's one now. He's been doing it since 2023.
Patriots will have it with Josh McDaniels forever because no one's going to hire him again.
Yeah, well, you would think. You would think.
Right? It wouldn't surprise me if they.
I would not touch that guy if a 10-foot pole would be my head coach.
Zach Taylor's been doing it since 2019. It's amazing he's still got his job, but he's still doing it. Matt LaFleur's been doing it since 2019. Deservedly so on offense. Defense, you got some issues. Sean McVay, obviously, since 2017.
Kyle Shanahan
Since 2017. Everybody else, 2026, 2025 with Ben Johnson, Schottenheimer 2025.
D'Amico Ryans fired Slowick after 2 years?
Yeah. Nick Caley 2025 to your point with Houston. Liam Cohen, obviously 2025. He was the reason Josh Grizzard got fired because they had a top 5 offense under Liam Cohen. Oh, Andy Reid 2013. He's the biggest. I missed him.
Speaking of coaches, I've always been high on Gerard Johnson. You want to blame players? Man, CJ Stroud has really hurt that guy's career.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was on the up and up after CJ's first year. And it seems like he's going to be stuck here as a quarterback coach there, or he's not going to be a quarterback coach there anymore.
Well, I know he might be the scapegoat, but
would have been a tough sell to hire him here after that year.
Yeah.
After the descent of CJ Stroud. So everybody.
If I were Houston, I would move on. I would trade him this summer. He's costing them, man. That defense is good enough to be great.
Who are you going to get that's better?
I don't know. If I get it.
Yeah, that's the issue. By the way, guys, what
about Minnesota blowing out Kwesi?
Yeah,
how about that? Yeah, we haven't even talked about that yet.
I know. I can't believe I forgot to hit you with that in the open.
So why do we really think he got canned?
Oh God! Seriously?
I know.
The worst personnel decision of the century.
Yeah, thank you. That whole paternity leave story, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Well, that's kind of people.
John, when it happened, brother, right here on this show, you said that's a fireable offense. I don't call for people's jobs, but that's a fireable offense, if I remember.
Well, I think people don't understand. A lot of it is Sam's in the Super Bowl, but let's say, all right, because Sam was going to cost a lot of money, and he was coming off a bad playoff performance, and you did draft a kid near the top of the draft. So, but then you had Daniel Jones in the building, and you said, and you let him go. And then you had Aaron Rodgers, who wanted to play for them at a discount, and you said, "Nope, I'm good with JJ McCarthy." I'm like, there's an example of, and I like Kwesi, and I know Kwesi, and he's a good dude, but there's a guy who said, "No, I drafted a quarterback." Cost effective, he had that analytics
instead of owning up, saying, "Hey, you know what? Maybe this guy ain't it." And yeah, I agree with you, John. And look, Justin Jefferson is not happy right now.
Why would he be?
He went from. What bothers me about the whole Darnold thing, besides letting him leave the building, is it's not like he signed for a lot of money. 3 years, $100 million is one heck of a deal for a quarterback.
Well, it is. It is. And they should have re-signed him, and now they know it. But now it's too late. He's going to go win a Super Bowl. And live with it. That's your decision.
Yeah.
But, I always say, doesn't matter how you find the quarterback. If you find a quarterback, hold on to him. That's to the point about CJ Stroud. As bad as it is, you're not going to get better. So you better just figure out how to build as best you can around him and get him better.
And I feel like D'Amico Ryans is too good of a coach where the Texans are going to bomb out at 5-12. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think he's a really good coach. I think he's a defensive savant, and that team is built to win at least 9 games. I think we've seen this year. I thought was the year they were not going to do as well because they started 0-3 and they ended up winning 11, 12 games.
Yeah. But to your point about the paternity thing, now that is sort of reversed. We were having the discussion earlier about this guy coming in with Jeff Stoutland and Jamal Singh, all these veteran coaches, and Aaron Moorhead, and yada, yada, yada. Now, that's the thing. Because there are a lot of people, you had a lot of white knights out there saying, how could you dare question Kwesi taking paternity leave? Because nobody fucking does it.
Yeah, no one does that.
You're living in a culture. I'm not supporting the culture, but I'm also being a realist. You're living in a culture where all your scouts and all your personnel people live that life, and you're trying to lead them. And you have this new age mindset, which might be better. Not might be, probably is better for
I think it is better. Yeah,
but for quality of life,
overall health, yes.
But it doesn't matter, man. You remember Ryan Grigson's out there. He used to work for the Eagles. He's an old school former GM, longtime personnel guy. Which I also know, Ryan. You jumped over all those people who have been living that life, and then you're trying to lead them, and they have that mindset. That is really difficult needle to thread. That is a really difficult needle to thread.
Yeah. When you got coaches and scouts working 18, 20 hours a day.
Oh my God, scouts are the most underappreciated people in football. They're always on the road. They live out of a suitcase. They work ridiculous hours. They don't get paid that much. They miss their kids' stuff, their wife's stuff if they're married.
Yeah.
They miss everything.
Was it Kurt Warner that said it? I don't want to put words in Kurt's mouth. It might have been Kurt that tweeted. Someone tweeted it that said, if you want to live that life, you have to be prepared to give all that stuff up.
Yeah.
Fair or not.
That's tough. There's no doubt.
Like we say it as journalists sometimes. John, how many things have you missed over the years?
Oh my God. I tell that one time, this is the life we've chosen. The one editor I had, I guess, just shut up, dude. Yeah, we know, but don't emphasize.
We all know. Yep.
Yeah. Don't